Okay, here we go. We are live. Let me turn the mic off there. I don't get any feedback. All right, so praise Allah. We're also live on YouTube. So please, exercise your 5 senses. Praise Allah. We are reading from the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, Holy Quran of the Moor Science Temple of America, divine prepared by the Noble Prophet of Ali. Chapter 10. This is Friday, our holy day. So we're going to start here, like I said, at number 11. And number 11 says, as a lawyer said, I pray to Jesus, tell who is this Allah you speak about, and where are his priests, his temples, and his shrines? And Jesus said, the Allah I speak about is everywhere. He cannot be compassed with walls, nor hedges about with bounds of any kind. All people worship Allah the one, but all the people see him not alike. This universal Allah is wisdom, will, and love. All men see not the triune Allah. One sees him as Allah of might, another as Allah of thought, another as Allah of love. A man's ideal is his God. And so as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Man's God today, tomorrow is not God. The nations of the earth see Allah from different points of view. And so he does not seem the same to everyone. Man names the part of Allah he sees, and this to him is all of Allah. And every nation sees a part of Allah, and every nation has a name for Allah. You Brahmins call him what is that? Brahm. In Egypt, he is thought, and Zeus is his name in Greece. Jehovah is his Hebrew name, but everywhere he is the causeless cause, the rootless root from which all things have grown. When men are afraid of Allah and take him for a foe, they dress up other men in fancy garbs and call them priests and charge them to restrain the wrath of Allah by prayers. And when they fail to win his favor by their prayers, to buy him off with sacrifice of animals or birds, when man sees Allah as one with him as Father Allah, he needs no middleman, no priest to intercede. He goes straight up to him and says, my Father God, Allah. And then he lays his hands in Allah's own hands, and all is well. And this is Allah. You are each one a priest just for yourself. Mm, that's heavy. And sacrifice of blood, Allah does not want. Just give your life in sacrificial service. Let's say to the all of life. Mm. And Allah is pleased. When Jesus has thus said, he stood aside and the people were amazed, but strove among themselves. I'm going to stop right there. Okay, so I, I really, I'm right after every chapter here, but within my week, this chapter stood out. Thus, it became my lesson for the week. In other words, something within here I needed to see so that I could clear questions, right? In other words, we have questions, about a life. And we have to understand, due to the circumstances of, I would, I'm going to say our birth from our ancient father, from Allah, and thus our circumstances where we find ourselves now, we are very blessed and lucky to get instructions. If you would contemplate and reflect around you and you growing up, the instructions of life really weren't there. What was there were where where was this someone's someone else's concepts of reality, where we found ourselves having to fit in and make away with the scraps of that society. Thus, there's no possible way then you could get the true harmony, of love, or a true sense of even playing field for one's own mental clarity. When I say we are incredibly blessed, incredibly lucky to not only have instructions, but for a few of us, it's not catching dust on the shelf. For a few of us, the lessons have become infused, or we are infusing them, right, within our character. How are we doing this? By constantly weighing who we are against, something better than our ego, right? Now, the Quran is to be utilized for us to open up, as it says here, as a priest unto oneself. So we have to be very careful when we begin to act like a priest unto others. Can't use certain things at this high level of science like that. Because if you have really read the Quran, it's for family, but it also deals with the individual. But it's overall a family book, right? That means relationship. That means harmony. So when we're looking at this chapter, this lawyer in 11 is so many different people. And when you can find that lawyer within yourself, which is the doubter, which is obviously the lower self, because the lawyer is there to doubt things and to question. But who's doing that in you? Which one? Now, are you acting like a lawyer for yourself, or is there a questioning going down almost like a scrutiny within your mind? This is the untamed part of your lower self, all right? Where it's saying anything it wants within your own piece, which is supposed to be wise. We're going to get there in a second. All right. So this lawyer within yourself is asking, kind of place yourself here for a moment, because if you can't see how to deal with these lessons first with self before you get to thinking you can spit these lessons to a lot of other people, they're going to look at you and rightfully so, and maybe ask the questions, well, I don't see these things reflecting in you before you start pushing it down my throat. Hmm. The still small voice has to be tapped into. You can't do that if you're constantly thinking or trying to show somebody that you know. I said this before, so let me reiterate this. I was told by one of my master teachers, like, man, you don't always have to show that you're right, even when you are right. Allow the moment to express it and watch you learn even more. And then the opportunity will come for you to bring forth that light in its proper moment, not the forcing of the light because you blind people and they will run from you. All right. So a lawyer within yourself is asking about Allah. Now, this is the part where you have to really be studying, because we know Allah we speak on is the Allah of love. So it's asking about love. And if you really have been studying, the nearest place you can meet Allah is in the heart. That's just asking you about your love. I pray, Jesus, you are of that body. Tell who is this Allah you speak about. Who made you? For us, it would be starting there. Where are his priests? Well, we just read, you are priests unto yourself. His temples, thus must be, I must be the first temple and the shrine. Because if the nearest place I can meet Allah that I'm trying to speak to others about is within my heart, then it is where that is where then I must not only dict, I must not only speak from, but then my actions also must follow what my heart's telling me. And this again is that still small voice that you must first be still to hear. That means you're not talking to floss that you know something all the time, right? But not to pull back on people that you know you love and care enough about to give them some wisdom. Is this making sense so far? Because I'm allowing here to take me somewhere here. All right, so but praise Allah. So in number two, and Jesus said, but Allah I speak about is everywhere. He cannot be compassed with walls nor hedges about or bound with any kind. This is so important because if people want to bound Allah, we have people who speak very negative in the world about Allah, and yet they know not what Allah is. But they have a concept from others. This is why it's so important for you to understand who Allah is coming from your holy books, so that when you're out there representing that which is the correct. Because to really understand, you know, this capstone for society, is to understand the golden age, or to understand that which we are coming into, or that which we are now in, because herein lies the cleanup, because Allah is everywhere. And what you have today is a lot of hate. This is the opposite, the antithesis of Allah. It is the exact opposite. Thus, it cannot exist in such a vacuum. When this vacuum gets activated by the very people who represent that divine attribute of Allah, which is love, or the other divine attribute. Let me get there. Let me show you this. Let me show you what I mean real quick. All right. So let's go to number where it says wisdom will. Oh, here it is, number 14. It says this universal Allah is wisdom, will, and love. Now, this is speaking on the spirit plane, the soul plane, and the plane of manifest, all in that breath. So let's deal with them by taking it from the plane of manifest and then maybe going up. We'll try to do it that way. All right, it says, let's read that again. It says the universal Allah. This is so important, that part, universal, because that means that it incorporates all things, right? Now, well, let's take it from the plane of manifest and see how we can see this. So this universal Allah is wisdom, will, and love. All right. So what is that? What does it mean here? What do you mean this universal Allah is wisdom, will, and love? Right. So we're coming from our Quran now too. So don't mix stuff. When you're trying to answer things from your own Quran, you need to use it on to answer, right? Like the ecosystem it is. So anyway, when we understand, right, really seriously understand, starting to look at the Quran, this wisdom, will, and love says in the next one, all men see not the triune. Okay, so it's a three-part, right? So before we get into its attributes of might and its attributes of thought and its attribute of love too, let's deal with this triune or this wisdom. So wisdom, when we're looking at it from the plane of manifest, it is similar to the woman. Okay. When we're looking at will, we're looking at similar things to man. When I say man, I mean male. There's man, man is spirit man. On the plane of manifest, it comes as male and female. On the plane of soul, it actually stays male and female. On the plane of spirit plane, it matters not. Now, the part on the plane of manifest when we're looking at this triune or this wisdom, will, and love, we must look at it from the point of view of not spooking it out and getting so esoteric with it that we lose the concept of how things are brought forth here, what things are really in its reality, and not of our fantasies on it. So wisdom really is, it's speaking about self. This whole thing, once again, is really kind of going to self, but then again, it's going into the family of things. So the wisdom really is the woman. All right. The will is man or the male, right? Why? Because with our will is action, even within its definition, it's a verb, right? Now, wisdom is like the woman has that. They have the wisdom because they must carry the child, because they are the mother of the, not only they're the mother of the family when they have their own family. This takes wisdom, all right, to develop a healthy family or to be a part of the development of that healthy family. The will part is truly the male figure because it's the action that makes the choice to set in motion, because will is action. But there's a choice. Esoterically looking at it, it goes to a choice. Therefore, because this choice is the thing that will set in motion. Now, if your choices, man, have been habitually programmed where it is reactionary from a European psychology, which means no moral value of your ancestors, then we have a problem within the family. And this is what a lot of people right now, from both sides, the women and the man, coming, those who are staying in the European psychology, even those who are coming out, have to understand, right? The balance between man and woman and what certain fundamental roles that were already given so that they can then be enhanced. So man is really a choice. He's making choices constantly because he's action oriented. He has to go out and do a thing. Stagnation of that brings forth cancers of the mind and it brings forth perversions, right? When man is in motion, his mind is moving in the capacity where he's naturally should be at. And then how are these actions built? Actions are built through repetition. Actions become MOs of your character. And how the MO become? Because it's a repetitious thing that you do over and over. People can rely on you to show up on time. Or, oh yeah, he always flies off when he sees this particular thing. I mean, you get an MO and it's a habit. Now, therein lies the very things of those habits that we have to look at as men, where we've gotten the European psychology that built those habits against the very divine lessons that we're now kind of reading here with this will, because it's divine will that Allah's really giving you, because the love is the child. The love is wisdom and will come together, just like the brain. Separately looking at this individually, it is your brain. It has two hemispheres, and which means male and female as a masculine and a feminine part. And then when it comes together, it is known as the wise mind, or when you are thinking with both hemispheres properly working in its proper order, not one overpowering the other. So, like if a man goes over to his emotional side or his more feminine side, which is the right side, where he really should not be, he gets stuck over there. He gets emotionally and he goes into outrages, hitting women, and things to this effect come from people getting stuck over there. And then certain people get stuck over there as a man, right, by words. Hmm. Very important. Check words. Words trigger memory. Memories trigger either the limbic system or the neocortex. In the majority of Negroes, it's the limbic system. And if we are coming out of a Negro psychology, we have to watch those habits that trigger the limbic system that takes us when we think when it should just be a memory, we think it's happening right now. See, that's the dangerous part of the limbic system, which is the lower self. It'll make you think that this molestation of your mind that you're supposed to get over when you was a child is actually kind of going down right now, right in front of your woman, because she said a particular thing that reminded you of that thing. In this wheel, the choices will start to come from the limbic system instead of the neocortex. Oh, that's just the memory. I've been over that. I'm good. Baby, love me. She ain't trying to hurt me. Nope, you'll be over there stuck. Now you're coming from a reactionary, stuck in your emotional style, and now you're acting as a reactionary. This is very important, man, to understand about your character, how you function, because these people manipulate us because they know how we function. But they will never manipulate it if you take the divine instructions and let go of their psychology where they do know how you function. It can always manipulate you any so time they feel so ready. Even got Moors tripping on Donald Trump as if that is a solution. Like that's somebody you should be tripping on. Either hate or not hate. You should even be hate or not hate, dislike or dislike. You should even be there. But see how they can manipulate when you don't know who you are. When you still think you dipping in their system. When you while you dipping in think so much about Trump's situation or do I hate him or do I like him, you're putting down the tools of your own government on what you should be doing. See, wisdom, will, and love first within self, so that the love can always be present. Now, love is not weak. Love is not a weak thing either. It's the strongest thing that there is. So stop breaking it down so much as a weak thing. Love is a binding thing that's so strong when two people get it. Man, you can't break when two people really in love and got that thing. You can't break that for nothing. Both of them going down together with the fight, no matter what, because it's something about that love. Why? Because it's up. And now you have come as one. Now Allah is ever present as the triune. Child is a love child. You ever heard of a love child, indigo child? You know what I'm saying? A soul child. Well, these can only take place when your soul, when man being the spirit man on the plane of manifest, understands these particular things about himself and know that when he's on the soul plane or the soul plane, right, it's truly just plain of created mental experiences that we've had over eons, creating that soul plane as it even is. You understand? And you gotta so I'm gonna put your mic on mute. So praise Allah. Where I was trying to go there with the wisdom, will, and love, though, looking at it from the point of view of the family, and because when the sister, right, um, comes into an understanding of of who she is and her true wisdom, right, it is it is it is a balance. I mean, it is a balance, and so thus she's able to then configure the spark of life, right, to best become a suitable vessel for love to inhabit. This wisdom of the woman, as the prophet has given us, is the mother of the virtue. So that when she breathes, it's harmony. I mean, it's justice, mercy, love, and right. Those are attributes of Allah that she could actually bring forth into a human being with the spark. right? As long as his spark was the spark uh, of that action of Allah, right? Not a spark of lust, which is the lower self, all right? So the wisdom, will, and love, or this triune Allah, can only be the families like that. Once he, and not only be, excuse me, because you can't draw hedges. That I didn't mean that. You can't draw hedges around Allah. So what we're looking at, it's so bomb. The universal Allah truly is wisdom, will, and love. Because all men see not the triune Allah. One sees Allah's might, another is Allah's thought, another is Allah's love. Which one do we see him as in this? Well, it says in Act 3, we know that Allah is love. Okay. The number 16, a man's ideal is his God. This ideal is so important. It kind of goes back to what I was just speaking on, that our ideals have yet to come from our heart. The ideals we see out there are these ideas, are these ideals that we see on TV, that we get this notion that's how we should live. Oh, that's the house I want. Oh, that's the Bentley. Oh, and we get gooey and gushy because we see an ideal, although when you really look at it, if it doesn't come from the heart of that which best suits you in your understanding of life, then you're chasing after God here. Listen to what it said. A man's ideal is his God. It's only one God. It's only one God. So you gotta really, this book is deep. It goes, and so as man unfolds, his God unfolds. It's like when you come into the plane of manifest, God is mom, feeding you, warm. It's the nearest place that you remember of heaven, which was the womb, right? And so that's God. And then getting a little bit older, this other cat comes in called Pop. Oh, that's God too. But that God is a triune. Now, that triune ain't always, certain triunes ain't always have to, well, I am going to say that. But anyway, this particular triune, right, or this ideal, right, this are is dope. But we don't have to get fooled anymore with American idols, where we then chase after their ideals and their false gods, okay? And, end up somewhere drinking blood. Says the blood, Allah don't want. But you got people today drinking blood for these ideals of their God, you know? So don't think that ideals that you have aren't powerful. Certain ideals start at a lust, lusting after another person's stuff. That's called coveting. That's an ideal. That's an idea you had that you wanted that. And you got to check that. You got to check that like you've never checked anything, because it's not other people's stuff that they've created that should bring you happiness. You should never lust after anything. You should never get to the point where you desire something so much that you come up out your character. Thus, that you ain't in control. That thing's in control. That's called idol worship. We used to chop people's heads off back in the day. You worshiping a thing you created. So a man's ideal is his God, right? And so as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Man's God today, tomorrow's not God. Then we even get the esoteric understanding of what God is. God is purity. God is pure. It's purity. and its pure reflection on the spectrum is white. This understanding allows you to first rule your own land, rule things under peace. Your ideal, some people's ideal, they make other people their God, their woman, their man, their child. It's okay if you are looking at it from the point of view of wisdom, will, and love, right? That's beautiful and wrong, you know. But watch that because, you have an ego. All right, so anyway, it says the nations of the earth see Allah from different points of view, and so he does not seem the same to everyone, right? This is because it allows peace to exist amongst nations. It allows us, being in our position, to see a lot so that we don't even take a position over another man's religion or his vine and fig tree. That line allows you to respect a person's vine and fig tree, thus bringing the answer to the world of religious bigotry. The nations of the earth sees Allah from different points of view. You starting off with a diplomatic point of peace. And so does not seem the same to everyone. It's tolerance now coming in because it allows me to understand because my lessons tell me that everyone is seeing Allah though, from a different point of view. Well, praise Allah. What's good? What's good, my Christian brother? How you feeling today? Oh man, seeing love me some Jesus, seeing this beautiful day, and you seeing it from your point of view. Praise Allah. What's going on, my brother's brother? Oh man, sitting up here in this Buddha tree, you know what I'm saying? Doing me a little meditating. I'm like, you praising the God, from your point of view. That's bomb, you know. And this lesson is needed for everybody. Praise Allah. I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna go into something. We got a lot of other little business to take care of, but the the soul plane. I was speaking earlier. Is a plane of created manifestations of different lifetimes because the soul is developed when you get here. It's a thing that you take with you. And when we understand that we reincarnate, well, you have to take it and play it all the way through in your mind, right? So you're going through developing stages and degrees. That's why the Prophet said every age we deem a milestone in the journey, in the journey, in the journey of the human race, our family, our us. And the soul plane is very important, although you could understand these lessons will give you a better understanding of all planes. I mean, you can start to really do some stuff once you understand this. You ain't got to stay on that plane that long because you have solved your issues here. Me and sister was talking a little bit about this earlier, but I've been thinking about that for a while. This reincarnation and the soul plane is so important in that understanding, right? And we need to get a better, clearer vision of it back to what we have, which is the adept of Jesus, of John the Baptist, of all of the prophets. And the prophet brought it back as Egyptian adept. student. And then his graduation, most don't understand where that is, but yeah, he had a graduation and did what he was supposed to do, right? And then stood as the royal prince, right? But when we when we really contemplate what we have, you guys, it is the key to it is the next go, it is the golden age that is here and it's unfolding. You have to really see that Drew Ali's name is going to be just as popular as Jesus was, right? And but anyway, back to the soul plane, right? So the soul plane, you don't have their mental experiences from previous lifetimes. And those things that you don't settle, you're going to be trying to settle up there. Although certain things have to get settled down on the planet manifest. So if you want to move with a diviner purpose and things, then you begin to understand, stop building so much karmic residue of things that's going to keep you bound, you know. And I mean for yourself now. Anyway, anybody who's ever to test the soul plane, now the soul plane, if you want to experience that now, it's like astral traveling. Anybody's ever astral traveled?
Islamism.
Islam,
Okay,
Islamism.
me too. So you've had your death right. You've had your tomb, like Jesus is in the tomb without the manifest. That's a death right because that's exactly how it feels when you leave. Was that scary when you popped out? You know what I'm saying? I know it wasn't scary to me. I know exactly what's going on. I said, oh my God, it's happening. I said, ooh, this is it. Oh, wow. And I mean, and I'm looking at my body. I said, this is Bombay. I was so, wow, hard to even find. I need my thesaurus right now. I mean, I was really like knew it and doing stuff, but anyway, um, so that's a death right. You've experienced what it would be like when you leave. So if you've never astral traveled or things, it's simple. You got to kind of get there. You go to a place that you're extremely comfortable and extremely where there's no pressure. You're not nobody's coming. You're very at peace. I used to find that my first time was on my grandmother's couch as a child, about 12, I think it was, when I was 10 when I had my first experience. But I had my little blanket at 10, little baby, had my little pillow since a little baby, laid on the couch, my grandmama up in there singing, cooking greens or something. Exactly what it was. I remember it specifically. And I just kind of almost fell asleep, but I was still somewhat awake, but not really. So it's in between that moments that it happened. And you got to kind of get there. I don't know. Other people have different ways of doing it. Some people are very good at can get it to like boom. But that's how it happened for me. But anyway, if you've experienced that, you've experienced what your soul plane or death is like. So don't have any. It's not bad. It's not like wow, okay. It's not even an enemy, you know. Praise Allah. I just thought I'd add that for you. But anyway, I hope I said something to encourage you. I was kind of all over the place. So I'm in such a good mood and just feeling love. And you know, and I just sometimes I want to give certain things and I just over prepare, right? And so I hope I said something, that will keep you on the path and it will keep you moving forward, right? And I just want to also encourage the world, a little announcement to the other nations in the world from the National Republic of the United States of America, right? It's about to get good. And if you're back under your vine and fig tree, then you shouldn't really be worrying. But if you're not, you got a lot to worry about. And but know that it's really always been if you've been paying attention, God and devil. So the Satanists have made their outward ploy that is exactly who they are. This is the wheat from the tear, everyone. And they're calling it a civil war. Prophet calls it a holy war. So understand what's going down and understand that there's really no choice because prophecy is going to move forward regardless if we want it to or not. Thus, you best be on the right side because nobody's playing with nobody at this point, right? So you either with God, the great God, and his folks, or you rolling with this devil. And there's no more middle ground. So I hope every nation, every government is hearing. I know y'all always listening. And if you don't understand my language, I'm not speaking Ebonics. It's called Moroccan. Go get a dictionary. The time is going to come that you're going to have to prove what side. And think not that Allah's arm is weakened because you see all this satanic crap going down. But anyway, friendly warning because we have the solution for peace, for strength, and especially for those Christians, right? Only way here in a minute is through your binding fig tree. You know, we honor Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, and Confucius. So take warning, take heed, because the day we're never going back to sleep, and we have enough love for the world, but that love does not mean weakness. And like I said before, about Fridays ago, we're not rolling with nothing satanic. Not one thing on my land. This land is declared holy by the prophet himself. So just know that part. Also, to those people who are fighting under their vine and fig tree and recognize God that came according to their law, we're with you, you know, and you know, so just know we're always watching. We see everything, and we know who's who because we were the weak to grow up with this chair. All I have for you nations, for our members, we're about to go private and in this YouTube so that we could. So peace and love to everyone in the nationalities of the world worshiping the great God in their fine victory. This was a warning and a notice, from the national government of the United States of America, National Republic, District Branch Temple number 43, Grand Governor of the District, Brother M.C. Islamism. Have a wonderfully